Here we go. Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld. I'm very happy to be continuing my series about the speakers at the Sedona Transcendence Retreat. Happening coming up in September 19th to 22nd in Sedona, Arizona. Talking today to Brandie Wells, who's a psychic medium and clairvoyant and a paranormal investigator. Thanks, Brand. What is your main expertise that you love to deal with at conferences and talk about? What would you say?
Mainly, I love connecting people to their higher selves through trance channeling. As a clairvoyant slash psychic medium, I am most enthralled in the spirit realm and connecting with the afterlife. So for me, when I am presenting or opening myself to the audience, it's really a moment for me to teach and expand people, expand their minds into how our loved one's spirit is right outside of our energy body.
Well, what's your experience like? What are you channeling? How do you tap in and who's coming through you?
Yeah, so I have been connecting to, I think we've all been connected to spirit from birth, right? But I have been actively a self-proclaimed clairvoyant for the last 10 years. And I go into a trance-channeled state, so self-hypnosis. And as I go into that state, I flip the switch into channeling and I allow spirit to embody me, to work through me, to bring message to the living. So I like to also explain to people that, being a clairvoyant or channeling, you're really allowing spirit to work through you. So you're here to be at service to spirit first. And so, I do a lot of open forum messaging and one-on-one, but my favorite is open forum galleries where spirit just shows up. I call it a modern day seance, calling spirit into the room. So.
Well, who are you bringing through? Are different beings, or is there one particular?
Yeah, I connect to spirit guides, ascended masters, gods, goddesses, ancestors, our loved ones in the afterlife. So I consider your higher self, when you're channeling your higher self, it really is the beings beyond this human experience. So I open to all of it. I also work with the angelic realm a lot and the archangels, and that is something I really enjoy.
Well, do you have would you want to bring through, is there a message now, or is that too much to ask? Would you like to bring?
Ooh, I'm in a left brain world right now. Um,
Yeah.
I'm always open to spirit. I've been channeling all morning. I have clients usually, during the week, during the day. So I channel, I would say 4 to 8 hours a day. And I just got done with clients. I'm on my little break right now. So, I'm always open, but
We'll do it another time. But tell us,
yeah.
what messages are you bringing through for people? Like, what does it have to do with? What's there?
Yeah. So when I'm connecting, I always open with listening to the vibration of someone's voice because that's the essence of them. And I listen to the vibration of someone's voice as they state their name, and it opens a channel of message. Through that vibration, these are messages from earlier. I get what I call a psychic download. I use automatic writing, channeled automatic writing, and one-on-one sessions. And I get things such as, messages about their soul journey, where they are right now, moving into the future. So that's more psychic messaging. I will hear things about, work and life purpose, your career. I will listen to messages around medical intuition. I open up for, this session that I had recently, it was where they were on their journey in their career, expanding themselves in their career. I was also connecting to a grandfather in spirit that was very guiding, who was from Scotland, and he was coming through and talking about how proud he was of his grandson. So it's a combination of I just allow spirit to come through and lift people up. I always want people to feel enlightened and lighter, when they leave me. I want them to feel inspired. So it's really just allowing spirit to work through us in various ways, past, present, future.
Great. Well, here is the host of the Transcendent,
Ooh.
Suzanne Ross, coming online. Thank you, Suzanne, for joining us today. Just getting to know Brandie. Unmute yourself, Suzanne, so we can have you jump in here. And I was just going to ask her how you work, Brandie, in groups, like at the retreat that's coming up, the conference. How you're going to be on stage talking about how will you work with the audience or people in the audience?
So no matter where I am, I always create a sacred space. So I will be anchoring the energy of everyone so they can really feel connected. And then I will be calling in our higher selves, as I mentioned. So I will ask people to get present with who they want to bring into the channeling. And then we will open up for, who is coming in. And I get a combination of messages for the living and those in spirit, because that embodies all of us, the living and those in spirit. So a lot of times there are messages for the living that are very important. Maybe someone has something going on medically or a life transition. So I just channel messages that are intended to light the way for others. Yeah.
And jump in because
Well,
it's
hi, Brandie. It's nice to
Hello.
see
Nice.
you.
Yeah. Nice to connect.
Yes, we've really just been connecting over email,
Yes.
but yeah, I was taking a look at your website. Obviously, I've been doing that over the last few months and felt inspired to invite you to be part of our Sedona Transcendence Retreat. But I'm just so impressed by everything that you're into, Brandie, from these sessions to Tesla metamorphosis. And I see you have a product line in various stores. And of course, you do the gallery readings.
Yeah.
So that's really comprehensive. Bless you for serving in all those beautiful ways.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm humbled and honored. So thank you.
I think it's Suzanne, you invited so many people that are tapped into these other levels. Do you want to talk about, well, Brandie's going to be there doing her work, and just give us a little overview of the Transcendence Retreat, the Sedona Transcendence Retreat, because
Do you want to allow me to share the screen and I
we're
can
live
go?
on YouTube, so I'll just make you a co-host, and yes, please share your screen because
Co-host now. Very good. Here we go. Let me open this and let me hit this. And I think that's yay. Okay. Yeah, this is our flyer. And the main theme of this retreat, Alan and Brandie, is psychics, channelers, and mediums demonstrating their gifts and teaching their techniques. And so I really wanted to emphasize that at the top of this flyer because I know there's so many people that are really interested in like being part of a gallery reading or observing people channeling, but they really want to learn how they too can tune in to people on the other side, to maybe people in other dimensional realms like our galactic family and so on. So I really wanted to make this retreat all about that. And that's why we have not just the presentations, but the indoor workshops. And of course, we always do the outdoor journeys into Sedona's sacred sites. And Brandie is going to be engaged in all of that, along with, all of these other guests, Lisa Roll Hall, Jamie Price, Matt Kahn, Joy Kahn, Vincent Jenna, Ann Tucker, Yafi Yer, Allison Carmani, Robin Jelinek, Kelly Palmatier. I just love these people. And across the bottom, we have some people who are offering like the Sound Journey guided meditation, Lisa McCardle, accompanied by Sound Journey performers Aurora Luna Star and John Dumas. And Lori Lene is an expert sound healer and is going to do a workshop on sound healing techniques. So yeah, lots to offer, a lot of diversity. So we're really excited about it and just so blessed you're going to be part of it, Brandie.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited because I started about a year ago transitioning my hypnosis into a form of teaching. So this really aligns. I know that I manifested and you were listening. It's really amazing to me when you put out to the universe what it is you're, working towards, and you know that they're setting you up for it. And then all of a sudden we connected and I said, that's exactly what I was working towards. So I'm excited to offer my hypnosis as part of journey work. And I have helped people through hypnosis to step into that same state that I was talking about, moving into your higher self, a form of hypnosis to get into that teetering in the theta where you're alert and aware. And then you start tapping into those higher realms. And I just really enjoy what comes of that, you know? So I started doing some of this with my paranormal investigating. I've had people who have wanted to be hypnotized to reconnect with their alien experiences, which I myself have had. Many spiritual people have had them, and I feel that's really part of that connection, which is always fascinating. But I'm excited to bring people into that state of deep relaxation, you know, and help them connect and show them how easy it is to connect to the afterlife and to connect to the spirit realm. So I want to give them the tools to do that. I'm excited.
Well, I'm interested in what you said. What is the connection to ETs and the afterlife? What is there a bridge there or something that makes them?
For me, what I personally have experienced is once you get into those higher dimensions, when you're channeling, you are able to connect to all beings. So it's really the place of universal consciousness. You know, you can really get up into those higher planes and start connecting. So for me, as I mentioned, I had an alien experience when I was 8, but I've had several since then, which also inspired me to open up and understand why, you know, first of all, why me? And why certain people, why are they chosen to have these experiences? But I think that's where my fascination with hypnosis began, was understanding how that altered me in some way. And, you know, I struggle with the word gifted because I feel we all have the ability to connect on this level. I really believe that. But just like anything, the more you practice, the better you become. And for me to flip into that space of moving into a self-hypnosis or a channeled state, just like many channelers, clairvoyants, psychic mediums, or even, you know, people who are, you know, working in deep meditation or channeling, you know, writing a book is channeling. You're listening to message as it flows through you, right? So there are many ways that we get into that state, but the more you do it, the better you become. And I was fascinated by, you know, how is it that we can connect on this, you know, subconscious level, but you know, it just fascinated me. So that's where I started working in hypnosis. And then I realized I was self-hypnotizing, and that's how I was able to make those connections. But then I started helping other people. So I bring people into a state of hypnosis. I call it awake hypnosis, where they can interact with spirit. So I bring them into this deep relaxation. Hypnosis is all about trusting the hypnotist, really. It's just the fast route to get there, right? And I help people connect to, I do this in paranormal investigations. I help people connect to their own loved ones. I've helped people reconnect to their alien experiences, you know, going back to why they had these experiences. So I have a lot of fun with hypnosis. I'm going to be honest. It's really fun. It's a creative way for me to tap in.
Wow. Will you bring all together to go in or individuals, or can you do a whole crowd?
What was the question? I missed the beginning. I apologize.
No, it's fine. Can you do the whole audience at once? Bring them into a hypnotic state?
I could, but I prefer smaller, more intimate settings, mainly because hypnosis, as I mentioned, is all about trusting the hypnotist. And the bigger the audience, the harder it is for people to relax. So there's less of a chance of going into that deep state. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not as enjoyable for me personally as a presenter. So I like the smaller, close-knit groups with that. I've done it with the larger groups. I just don't enjoy it as much. It's just more work, honestly. It's harder. Yeah.
Okay. Well, talk about your paranormal investigations, because that's a little different than, you know, psychic. I'm interested in what you've investigated and what you found.
Yeah, New England is a hot spot for paranormal investigating. There's a lot of really old properties, but I believe that a lot of the paranormal is because of our granite foundations. Granite is such a high metallic content. And when you combine that with so many ley lines, which are those energy lines in the earth, uh, it's really, like I said, it's a hotbed of paranormal activity. So I have investigated some of the world's most known places, such as the Lizzie Borden house, which I am very familiar with. I'm very familiar with the spirits there. The S.K. Pierce Victorian Mansion, which isn't that far from me, but you'll see it on all the ghost shows. Oh gosh, the Conjuring House, the real Conjuring House. That's right in Burrowville, Rhode Island. That's only about an hour and a half from me. And when I investigate, I bring people in. I ground the energy. Once again, I call them into that space of, being open to spirit. But I see paranormal investigating as a place to learn about your own abilities and to understand, why is spirit making themselves known? Most times, a location just wants to tell a story. They're not there to be spooky or scary. They loved this place. And so the interactions end up being actually quite pleasant. It's like getting to know someone, you know. Um,
Tell us one specific thing you've discovered at one of these locations, because that's always interesting.
yeah, I would say one of my favorite places to investigate is the Black Swan Inn in Tilton, New Hampshire. It's not famous or anything. It has been featured on some shows, but that location is so active with multi-generational spirits that it's a beautiful place. And I know that's why these spirits love it there. They loved the place they were in, as I mentioned. But when I go there, not only do they visit me the night before, in that dream time when we're kind of in between, that hypnagogia, the state of in between, I get visitations as I'm, so they'll visit me as they know that I'm coming. And then when I'm there, I connect to the man who built the house. Actually, Henry Ford had stayed in that home and loved that home. And I actually channeled, I did not even realize, I said, there's a man here who built vehicles and, and I'm going on. And we looked up the history and Henry Ford was connected to the home. So it was kind of a cool thing. So that's one of my favorite places to investigate. I was on A Haunting, which is the longest running paranormal TV show. And that was based on, it's called The Man in the Closet. It's season 11, episode 9, if anyone wants to watch it. My dad tried to watch it and he called me up and he said, I don't know how you do this. He couldn't even watch it. He was so scared. So he said he had to watch it during the day. He couldn't watch it at night. He'll kill me for telling people that. So anyways, it was a very intense story. These people became my friends because I helped them for years with their hauntings. This is a house that at one point, part of the house had burnt down. It was in 1901. And what happened was, all the people in town, it was in the middle of winter and they couldn't build the house quick enough and they needed enough room in their house for the people that were living there. So some people gave parts of their house by wagon and brought it down and put it, on the house. So it's actually a house that has 3 other parts of a house attached to it.
Wow.
And so this house is just so active. But the episode is called The Man in the Closet, because there's a man who kept appearing in the closet and it was terrifying. But this man, and I don't typically connect to negative entities. I'm a very high vibrating being. And when I recognize that someone has unfinished business, I don't see it as someone being evil. We don't become evil when we cross over. Okay. But our personalities still come through. That's the essence of who we were in that human body. So this man, he was quite angry. He did have unfinished business, but we did find resolve. And if you do watch the episode, what's fun is it did resolve the issue, but every once in a while he will pop up in the house And they have to go back and redo the ritual that we had performed in order to bring peace to him and to the house. And it's basically an offering that we gave him. So I enjoy the paranormal. I always tell people, what better place to learn your abilities than a paranormal playground, right? A place that's deemed haunted. You're bound to have experiences and learn about your own abilities, what you're good at, how you communicate with the afterlife.
Yeah.
Brandie, do you have then, is one of your goals to facilitate these trapped souls going into the light?
I don't work in crossing over. I connect to the soul where it's at. And that's just not a practice that I personally have been drawn to assist spirit with. I have helped spirit when they're not at peace find resolve, but not in the process of crossing over. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like the man in the closet, what was the reason that he no longer haunted the house?
Okay, so he was not a trapped soul and he was not stuck. Okay, so he was crossed over, but he had unfinished business. And the reason he was upset is when he passed, there was a unresolved around all this money that was owed to him. And
Ah,
what's interesting is when we went into the records of the history records from the town, there was this big debt that was owed to this man for hay. And and so it's more that we gave him an offering and basically had to write him a check or give him money and let him know that, all is good here on earth. So you can, let this go. So yeah, it was kind of interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now his business is no longer unfinished. I'm
Yes.
dying to know about your alien experience at the age of 8. Would you mind sharing?
Sure. Okay. So, well, first, if you ever wanted to learn more from a different perspective, it was in the media. It's under what's called the Zeller experience, Zeller. Officer Zeller was the officer on the scene, and since it was an officer, it was a real thing, right? All the citizens in town that were also experiencing it were also part of this interview and discussed, what their experiences were. So I was 8 years old, and this was in Keene, New Hampshire, and we lived right near a highway. And I had looked out the window and we had a big open field. And the highway, you could hear the cars go by. I bet it was maybe about 3 acres back. So you could just hear, the sound of the highway off in the distance. And I saw through the peak of the trees this oval object coming down, and it was kind of swooping back and forth as it came towards me. And I yelled to my mom, but you know how it is when you yell to your mom. She thought, what do you want now, right? And she didn't respond. But when I yelled, Mom, it's as if it heard me and it zipped right up to my window, and it was a big bay window. And it was oval, like a tic tac. It was an opalescent color. It had 3 lights on it. My mom didn't respond right away, but then I yelled a second time because then it was right in front of my window. But when it came up to the window, and this all happened within seconds, so just keep in mind it was a very quick interaction. It vibrated, and the vibration was so strong that the windows were vibrating, and it moved through my body, and I froze. It was like I don't know, it was such a deep vibration that moved through me. And then it zipped off to the left. But that second time, when it came towards me and I yelled to my mom, she knew it was urgent, and she came down and all she saw was the tail end of it zip off. So the next day it was in the newspaper that Officer Zeller got called to the scene on Route 9 in Westmoreland, New Hampshire. And when he got called to the scene, there was a UFO hovering over the highway, and it wasn't moving. It was just hovering. And this officer didn't know what to do. He went to the scene and he said, if you read the article, which is interesting, he went to the scene of this UFO. He described it. It's exactly what I saw. So I believe that it was a fleet of these. I believe that it wasn't just one, because anytime I mention this in town, even years later, people will say, oh my gosh, my grandmother saw that, or my mom saw that. So I believe it was an entire fleet. But after that, I started having astral projection where, I was only 8 years old. I didn't have, I wasn't a spiritual person. I was a kid. But I did not understand until I moved into my adult years that these experiences I was having, it was right after that experience with the UFO. And I would astral project and I could just close my eyes. I didn't even have to work at it. I would close my eyes and my soul would leave my body and I would look back at where I was. I mean, I would see myself sleeping in my bed or sleeping on the couch, or so anytime I wanted to just close my eyes and go into that state, my soul would leave and I would go places. I don't even, I remember going places. I remember going like up into, astral, like literally astral travel. I was going up into the space and I would go and visit people. What's interesting is to this day, I will have those experiences once in a while. But I have to tell you, it scares me because what happens is I have a hard time coming back. And you'll hear some people will talk about how they have, oh my gosh, what is that when you feel like you're stuck? Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the word that you use.
Sleep paralysis.
Thank you. It's like, I was going to say, it's like the word paralyzed. So like a sleep paralysis, and I will have that. And it scares me because I have a hard time. I can't come back. And so that's scary, And so my husband will actually tell me once in a while, he'll hear me and it's like I'm screaming, but my mouth won't open because I'm trying to come back. And I don't like it. I'm just not in control as much. So when I do this in a hypnotic state, I am in control, and that's where I enjoy it. And I like bringing other people into that. I've actually helped people astral project through hypnosis, and you can have control of it,
The ET experience helped open up to your psychic gifts?
I do. I feel the correlation, as an adult reflecting back, because that is also when I became hyper alert, hyper aware of other people's energy. I was the kid who, I get emotional talking about it because it was so hard being a kid that was a super empath. I mean, beyond empath, like super empath, where, I knew what kids were being abused. I knew what kids were hurting. I knew what kids were sad. So I was the one who was always trying to like nurture and, pull everyone in. And so I feel it heightened my senses to the point where I was, like a walking sponge for it. And it wasn't till, you move into your true authentic soul self and you learn how to better control that, that it gets easier, Being an empath is a blessing and a curse, right? What a blessing to know how other people feel and to work with that energy. What a curse to know how people feel and work with that energy. It's like, yeah.
That's somewhat common, doesn't it, Alan, about people having interactions with crafts or beings from other worlds and coming out much more highly attuned and aware.
I think that the reasons they're here is to activate us to those high levels. So I think there's a direct relationship
You
between.
just gave me goosebumps all the way up my arms.
But I think that is the process that this phase, this transcendence that we're in, Suzanne. That's why you named the conference Transcendence, because we are in this motion of transcending the old dimensions to these new dimensions.
And similar to how you and I hosted that interdimensional guest panel at our March retreat, there we had near-death experiencers and channelers, because it's all about tuning in to these interdimensional realms. And the ability to do so includes both spirits and extraterrestrials.
Right, so we are. I was going to say, Brandie, it's all paranormal. It's all right around
Yes.
all the time.
But in our world, it's normal, not paranormal, right?
Alan, I'm trying to think of like a old building here in Sedona, and we could have a special little like trip to do a paranormal investigation with Brandie Wells during our event. Maybe the old Sedona Schnebley house.
Maybe, or one of the oldest is the White Horse Inn. That's been around for a long time. I don't know if it's haunted, but
Really?
I don't know. There must be. Jerome is a very scary.
Bam, that's it. It's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the world. Oh my gosh. We'll have to look into that, Alan, and have a special little, what do you think, Brandie?
Oh, I'm down for that. That's one of my favorite things to do, really. Yeah.
Doesn't freak you out to go into? I mean, I slept in a haunted house once. It was kind of okay, but it doesn't freak you out to.
It doesn't, and I know this sounds, it's real. I'm not tapping into ego when I say this, okay? But I know that I am safe because I vibrate too high. I vibrate too high to be touched by energies that interact in those low. I don't interact with lower vibrations or thicker vibrations of energy. So if anything, it intrigues me. No, and I like helping people interpret that energy too. A lot of times people will feel or sense spirit and they think that they're having a fearful experience when in actuality it's spirit trying to let us know that, you know, maybe there is unfinished business or sadness or there was something unresolved for them. So helping interpret those energies that are coming towards us, you know, and not misinterpreting or creating resistance with that energy.
So talk a little bit about what exactly you'll be doing in Sedona. You know, as far as your workshop and all that. What will be going?
Well, I'm excited because Suzanne, you know, she opened it up for several different platforms. And, you know, connecting in the larger open forum, the group forum, I'm excited to, you know, I first want to explain to people how I work and really explain that, you know, anyone, like I said, anyone can do what I do, but it takes practice and trust, a lot of trusting ourselves, confidence and in our ability to connect. So I'm excited to use that as both a teaching, you know, so people can take those tools with them and use them as they go forward, but also to, you know, beyond, as they say in the UK, because I'm a strong advocate of the Arthur Findlay College in the UK, and I've gone to their school, but being on the platform, as they call it, and channeling spirit. I'm excited to show people how I work and start connecting them to some healing experiences too. And then in the smaller group, Suzanne, you know, I'm excited for that because that is where I'm going to be able to connect with people on a more intimate level, really bring them into that state of deep relaxation so they can let go and fully experience and immerse in that, the channeling themselves. And I'm also going to be bringing them through connections with the archangels because I feel that's the safest way for people to connect to the afterlife is to have the archangels assist as they are connecting. So, you know, those are things that I'm looking forward to.
Great. That's great.
I like that, calling upon the archangels before you start to dive into other realms and invite in other beings.
Yes.
I think with all these amazing people there, it's going to be an incredible conference. I just did a great interview with Lisa Royal. I'll show it to you, and so many other people are, Vincent Jenna. There's some really fantastic visionaries coming to Sedona, and everyone's invited to come, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Alan, for supporting us on New Realities TV. I invite everybody to tune into Sedona Transcendence Retreat.com. You can use Brandie's code as a coupon code. Just visit her website. If you'd like to share your website and any other contact information, Brandie.
Yeah, so if anyone would like to learn more about me, what I offer, but I will be posting that code this evening, actually, and I'll share it here if you want.
Yeah.
But it's code Wells if you would like to book under code Wells, WELLS, and that is for Brandie Wells Breakthrough Medium. My website is Brandie Wells, BRANDIE Wells.com. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Brandie. Great to know you and know that your
Thank you.
work. And we have more interviews coming up this coming week, don't we, Suzanne?
We do. I think we're taking a little break. You might be going somewhere.
Maybe. No, I'll be around.
Okay, we'll get those scheduled then. Thanks everybody for joining us. We really hope to see you in Sedona. We're always trying to add new, fun, and interesting things. So maybe I'll head out and see if I can find that haunted location for Brandie to do a paranormal investigation. That would be something new and different. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Brandie. Lots of love to all. Mwah. We'll see you in Sedona.
See you there. Bye-bye.
Haven't been there. Thank you, Suzanne. I'll talk to you. Good to meet you, Brandie. I'm Alan Steinfeld for New